Hi, everybody. This is Amanda with Metromark Realtors, and today I am chatting with David Patrick at Chicago Title. He is the Executive Director of Business Development, and Chicago Title is one of my favorite places to close in Oklahoma. If you have been one of my buyers, there's a good chance we close there. So I'm going to switch over, and hi, David. How you doing?
I'm good, Amanda. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. Last time I saw you, I think we were at a cocktail party. So that was a little bit more fun than our quarantine.
A lot more fun. A lot more fun.
Oh,
Virtual cheers.
right. Cheers. I got my coffee, right?
I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. How about that?
Good for you. You know, I did not start drinking coffee until I was in my 30s, but I had twins and party over.
Party over. I remember when I was about 12, I took a drink of coffee, and I have a distinct memory that it tasted like an ashtray smelled, and I was done. It was like
Good.
in my mind, I'm done, never drinking that again in my life, and I have.
Good. Well, I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. One, just giving everybody like a brief summary of what a title company does. You play a lot of roles in the real estate game, among other things, also in recording in the county.
Sure.
And then go into what's going on during COVID-19 and how that's affecting everything. So just to roll out, brief summary of title insurance, Chicago Title as a whole, and what you offer our community.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you. And hello to everybody. What a strange time we're in, but at the same time, what a great time to keep a positive mindset, to see the challenges that we have right now as opportunity. I think that's most important. I commend you for what you're doing here, reaching out to people. It's a great thing to keep us all connected. As far as Chicago Title, we are the #1 title company in the United States. I'm proud to be associated with this company. They're amazing. Just industry leaders, and it's just awesome to see how we operate, across the country. But when you think about the role of a title company in a real estate transaction, the first thing that comes to my mind is it's really important that you have a non-biased third party. And you need that in a transaction, so there's not any improprieties, that the transaction's leaning to one side or the other, or there's favoritism here or there. You've got a true non-biased third party that, on the platform of the insurance piece, it's a strange insurance policy from the day you close backwards in time. You pay for it one time at closing, and it guarantees you that nobody from the past can come to you and say, this is my piece of land, and you've got a mortgage on it. I'm sorry, you still have that mortgage, but you need to get off my land. Right. So it's a very, very
just for people who don't really understand that, they go in and look at the history of the deed of the house. So if somebody wrongfully sold it in the past, those people technically could come in and try to claim that house. So title insurance is important. Some people, I have a family member who chose not to get it, and I was like,
I do too. I do too. And he got burned.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen. So it's super important. And then the having somebody who's kind of representing the buyer and seller and bias, like you said. You can keep going with that. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's absolutely correct. And something that I think is important to know, that owner's title insurance is an option for the owner. It's not something that's forced upon them. It is something that they opt in to buy, and thank goodness for most people, they do understand the importance of it. As far as the escrow portion of it, it's where everybody goes, and we definitely make a big importance on making sure that our offices are very presentable. Our business is really directed more toward the lenders and the realtors and the developers and the builders of the world, because it's typically you that sends your clients to us. So we kind of feel a responsibility to make our offices presentable in a way that it represents you. If you've noticed and gone to any of our offices across the board, we really do a good job in decorations.
I
But
close a lot at Chicago Title, Nichols Hills with Jana Anderson or Caitlin.
rock star,
And you guys,
rock star.
it's like a fun hotel lobby in there.
Yeah.
We used to call it like club closing, but it's nicer than that. That like has a party theme, really. But you also have like a little area for kids, which I think is so
Mhm.
cool because often people have to bring their kids to closing, lots of
Mhm.
snacks. So great.
Lots of cleaning going on these days.
Lots of cleaning going
Yeah.
on. And I'm kind of talking more outside COVID times.
Hmm. Sure.
Your closers will return my email at 3 a.m. in the morning. Like if
They
we
do.
have
Yeah.
something going on, that's why I love working with Chicago Title. I mean, they will represent and help. And closers do so much more than just the paperwork and
You're right.
need at closer. And the buyers and sellers might not know that, but the realtors are talking to them constantly.
Right.
And it's very much a team approach to get to the closing table.
That is the one thing that I think about Chicago Title, Oklahoma specifically, that we're best at is teamwork.
Mhm.
We just have a great team mentality, and it's within each branch, but it also goes branch to branch and department to department.
Right.
In the time we're in right now, we've got over 50%, actually over 60% of our employee base is working from home. And the best thing is when I see our production reports that come out of specifically our title
Mhm.
plant, we haven't missed a beat. If anything, we've improved our communication
Mhm.
from title to escrow, and we've improved our efficiencies. One thing I'm super proud of, Charlie Francis is our title ops manager, executive vice president over title ops. He was one of the revolutionaries in this state to digitize abstracting. And we've even gone to other abstracting companies to encourage them to adopt this. And it's been somewhat of an interesting thing here lately because some of those that weren't exactly on board, given the situation we're in today, they are begging for information on how to do digital abstracting.
That's
So
awesome. And
it
you know,
is.
that's the silver lining in a lot of this. I think it's helped us like streamline a lot of our work. And the world is moving to technology. So
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to lean in, and this is helping us do that a
I'm
lot.
going to be really curious to see what processes that have popped up that stick.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because it's human nature that when you go through any type of adversity or change, you will encounter something that you go, that worked a lot better than I thought it did,
Right.
and it ends up becoming somewhat of a norm in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully the good parts will stick around. You went back to escrow. So the title company holds all the funds for closing. The
Hmm.
lender's going to send it over to title and back, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But also something that I think a lot of people don't know is the earnest money that buyers pay. It's a deposit essentially that they're putting down for the house, and usually it's returnable to the buyer, and that's a whole nother real estate thing we can talk
Hmm.
about later. But
Yeah.
we used to hold that escrow money in our brokerage, and then some people were kind of doing halvesies, sending it to the title company and keeping it at their brokerage. Now, for the most part, everybody is holding that escrow money in the title company, which is really nice. So from the time the contract's written, there's an escrow account
Hmm.
for the transaction at
Right.
title.
Right.
So that's kind of a newer thing. And then also you order the survey.
We do, or a mortgage inspection certificate, depending on what the lender requires
Right.
or
Which more
accepts.
often than not.
It varies file to file, lender to lender, but mortgage inspection certificate survey are relatively the same thing, slightly different.
It's where you
But
see
yeah,
achievements and really learn about
hmm
the
your
property.
boundaries.
Right.
Yeah, you learn your boundaries.
So that's like a brief little overview of what title companies do. Did we miss
Well,
enough?
yeah, I mean that's more on the front lines.
Mhm.
I was a lender for almost 8 years before I got into title in 2003. I think I may have just aged myself a bit. Um, but I remember, and it's funny because I love to recruit. I am one of the head recruiters for our company. And I can't tell you a single person that I have recruited that, maybe 6 months after they've been on board, they will say to me, I had no idea how much goes on behind the scenes.
Right, right,
Oklahoma is one of two abstracting states in the United States, and an abstract is an actual physical book, and it is a history of documents of the property going back to statehood. And it's Iowa and Oklahoma are the two states that still refer back to that paper book. They're being digitized, so we have those books digital more and more and more as time goes on. But we actually have an attorney that has to do a wet signature and sign off on all of the abstracting portions that are done before a transaction.
mhm,
Um, it's unique, in the United States, but our turn times right now in our title ops are just right at about 7.5 days. And if you looked at a non-abstracting state, they're probably around 4 to 5 days. So the way we do it may be just a hair slower, but I would say, and I would say confidently, it's maybe a little more in depth with
right.
how we do it. So
There's a record.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting to see. I love to do some classes. We'll do plant tours where we'll bring realtors through and we'll kind of walk them through the process and we'll show them the abstracts. And even realtors that have been uh, doing it for 15 years will sometimes go, "Wow, I really didn't know how much goes into the backside."
We should
And
do a little video of that sometime.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's move in a little bit to COVID-19. Real estate is essential. You're essential. Um, you can talk, I'd like to talk about kind of your interior team
Hmm.
and your relationship with the community and also curbside closings. How are we actually
Yes,
closing the deals?
yes. Yeah, COVID. Wow,
I
what a bizarre Twilight Zone movie we're living in.
That's
It,
why David has his background because that's his
yes.
happy place. I need
Well,
H back here, not this
I
guest room.
I am a creature of human interaction. I am a salesperson through and through. I'm unashamed to be a salesperson. And when you can't go out and interact with people and go through this, your mental health comes into play. You've really got to find a way to stay positive and stay healthy mentally, and just sometimes little mental reminders of being able to go out to a lake and put your boat in the water and go catch some bass for me, and that's why I chose this background. But um, in in discussing COVID-19, the thing that surprises me the most is how strong our real estate is flowing right now in our state.
Right.
It
It is.
is
It is.
amazing right now. But with that comes challenges, which we look at as opportunity. The biggest challenge we have is safety. You know, we have a lot of people coming to do closings, to sell houses, to buy houses. We have a ton of realtors. We carry over a 30% market share in resale transactions in Oklahoma County, which means we have a lot of people coming in and out. So we've kind of we've put some notices up on our doors. We are encouraging realtors and lenders and people that typically like to come to their closings and sit in to please refrain. Stay outside. We can FaceTime you in, or we can video chat you in if need be, to try to at least do something to get to keep the connectivity. Um, and all of that is for safety. It's for the safety of the consumer. It's for the safety of our client, the realtor, the lender, the builder, the developer. And I will say, just because I feel so much love for the people I work with, it's for their safety. If you think about a busy doctor's office, I would challenge you right now to find some of our branches that aren't as busy as a doctor's office,
Right.
which means we've got to take some precautions. And while unconventional as they may be, we've tabbed some curbside closings where we'll actually come out to the vehicle and hand a clipboard with documents. And
Your
you know
parking lot right now, actually, there's like little
yeah,
cars.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, people are out there and you can tell that the curbside.
And with that, we try everything we can to make sure that the people get their documents ahead of time digitally so they can review them. And if there are any questions before they come, those questions are already answered. Typically that happens at a table.
Right.
in one of our closing rooms, and you can talk through that. And but it does bring challenges, but we haven't slowed down a bit.
Right.
And that's the wonder of it is we have people that have that mindset that no matter what the challenge, no matter how scary it is, no matter how unseen it is, because it does feel like we're battling a ghost with this,
Mhm.
we're going to figure out a way to keep going and keep producing for our clients and for the consumers that we all serve.
Well, you've done a lovely job and your team is so positive. Um, let's talk. Sometimes we do remote closings with or without this virus. Is there a big increase of remote closings right now?
Uh, there is actually the remote closings have been around for a few years.
Right. And we
Um,
visit often. I mean,
yeah,
really, people are
yeah,
traveling and they close. I've had people close on road trips. I'm like, you just got to figure out where you're going to be on
right,
Tuesday at
right,
2 because we're going to have someone meet you. Uh,
right.
and go into that a little bit more.
Well, the hot topic right now is RON, remote online notary closings. The biggest thing that I would love for everybody to understand is they are great for sellers. Sellers sign a different set of documents than the buyer. Sellers, it's easy. There might be a little
Smaller
additional
packet.
cost. Seller
Right.
packet, yeah. There may be a little additional cost for that service, um, but it's safe. And for right now, it is a way that a seller can sit in their computer and do it. Um, if you're doing a cash transaction, we can do DocuSign right now, which is it's just like you guys do most of your contracts.
Right.
So it's easy and it's safe, right?
Mhm.
The buyer side is the challenge because the buyer
That's all.
has a different set of documents, specifically the note and the mortgage from the lender. And, there's not a lender out there right now that is accepting a full digital signature on the note of mortgage. And those still have to be a wet signature. So the biggest message I'm trying to get out is yes, they're available, but if you have a buyer, there is still a small portion of that packet that's going to have a wet signature. Now, even with that, we're working with ways right now to try to do that remotely and verify the documents or verify the identity through a digital way, which is new, and it has not.
Like a notary, like bank served
Yes,
license. Okay.
right. Right, and we're working with the governor right now to try to get there. We're not there yet, so definitely don't want people to think that that we are there yet. But we're working that way, and that's kind of what we do. Is when we're faced with something and it's a challenge, we are going to get our heads together and we're going to try to figure out a way to make it happen the safest way, the easiest way, the most professional way, and it's just a joy to be a part of.
Awesome. Well, how can we in OKC help support you and your team
That's
during
an easy question. That's a softball. So I would say in my role, my hardest part of management right now is my employees that are still working on the front lines. I have seen so much on the news about the love for the nurses and the doctors that are helping the sick, and thank God for that love. But I have a tunnel vision view to my world because I see my escrow people in that role. They are in the front lines dealing with the public every day. So if I could ask one thing from anybody that watches this today or tomorrow or the next day, reach out to your escrow person. Tell them that you love them. Tell them thank you for being there. Tell them thank you for keeping on keeping on. I know there are some apprehensions and anxieties, and they're worried when they go home to their families. Some of them are pregnant, some of them have young children,
right.
and there's an anxiety level there. So if there's one thing that I could ask everybody is reach out to your escrow person and tell them how much you appreciate what they do.
I think that's great advice. And yeah, people in your industry and baking industry, you're working so hard, but there's an element of fear there. And then you're going home and you're not able to just relax like you normally
Yeah,
could.
that's
So
right. That's
we
right.
appreciate you and all you do. You guys are so great to realtors and your clients and people to work with. And big fan of Chicago Title. If you are buying or selling a home, tell your realtor you'd love to work with them. If you
And
ever have
please
a
use a
question,
realtor.
Yes, use a realtor. Use me.
Please use a realtor.
Use me. So, well, we will sign off here. David, I'm going to stop recording and we can chat for a few more seconds. But thank you guys
Thank
and
you.
stay safe.